Hey everybody, this is Bob Kovacs here at Wirefly with another Wirefly cell phone Schmackdown. And on the Schmackdown ring today we have two Motorola DROID numbered phones. This is the Motorola DROID 3 and the Motorola DROID 4. Both are for Verizon, but only one of these is a 4G phone. The DROID 4 is a 4G phone on Verizon's LTE network. So you get super fast download speeds there, but I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. Now the DROID 3 gives up a little with respect to the speed, but it has something that the DROID 4 doesn't have. The DROID 3 is a global phone. It has GSM capability, so if you go to foreign countries, if you travel internationally, the DROID 3 is a pretty good choice because it has a SIM card slot for a GSM SIM card. Now you're going to have to go to Verizon and have that part of it activated, so you need to go to Verizon and say, hey Verizon, I'm going to go to Germany and I need to get this activated so it'll work in Germany, and they'll do it for you, but it will roam internationally on GSM networks. So here we go, DROID 3 versus DROID 4. Now, it's almost a foregone conclusion that the DROID 4 is going to win, but let's go ahead and take a look at these two phones and see what they have. First of all, I already mentioned the DROID 3 is a 3G phone. It does not have the LTE capability that the DROID 4 has. So this runs on Verizon's CDMA network that's domestically in the US. So pretty much you're going to top out at speeds of 2, maybe 3 megabits on the high side, and that'll probably be pretty darn infrequently you get over 2 megabits per second download speed on the DROID 3. The DROID 4, on the other hand, is an LTE phone. It will not be unusual to get download speeds above 10 megabits per second. And in fact, sometimes it'll even be higher than 20 megabits per second. So awesome download speeds with the DROID 4. What does that mean? It means that when you go to YouTube to watch a video, it's going to happen in a second or two, and it's going to play without any buffering. Here with the DROID 3, you go to YouTube. Sure, you can watch a YouTube video, but you might have to forfeit a little on the resolution. You might opt for a lower resolution so that it will download more quickly. You might have to wait several seconds, 20, 30 seconds even, for a video for it to start playing, and then it might stop and buffer in the middle of it. That is much less likely to happen if you have the DROID 4 and you are in a good 4G area. The 4G that the DROID 4 gets and several other LTE phones on Verizon is just incredible. You know, I thought maybe it was no big deal, but once you get used to 4G, and that's also true of the 4G speeds you get with other carriers, once you get used to it, it's awfully hard to go back to 3G. So the download speed round is won by the DROID 4 because it's got those awesome 4G speeds. Now, these are both dual processor phones, dual core processor. The DROID 3 has got a 1 gigahertz dual core processor with 768 megabytes of RAM. That's as best I could figure out from the little bit of research that I did into the RAM that it has. So it's a 1 gigahertz dual core processor, 768 megabytes of RAM. Over here on the DROID 4, you've got a 1.2 gigahertz dual core processor and 1 gigabyte of processor RAM. So it looks like the DROID 4 is starting to stack up the rounds here because the processor round is won over here on the DROID 4. They both have 4-inch diagonal LCD displays with identical resolution of 540 by 960 pixels. These are both very sharp displays. I mean, you look at them and they are very, very sharp, very nice in that regard. So I'm going to call that round an even. They both have very similar displays. Now, the DROID 3 over here has Android 2.3.4. That's how it comes out of the box. The DROID 4 will come out of the box with Android 2.3.5. Very minor upgrade. So there's a slight decision there in the Android round with the DROID 4. Now the DROID 4 is pretty likely to get upgraded to Android 4, also known as Ice Cream Sandwich. I don't know that for a fact, but it is probably going to happen. It's expected to happen with the DROID 4. I do not know. It's less likely that it will happen with the DROID 3. So it's a near certainty to happen with the DROID 4 if you want to get the Android 4 update. So I'm going to say that's another decision in favor of the Motorola DROID 4. It is more likely to get the upgrade to Android 4. Both of these have 8 megapixel still image cameras. and they both can shoot 1080p HD video. So I'm going to say that they're more or less equal in that regard. They both have front cameras. I think there's a little advantage over here with the front camera on the Droid 4. I think this is a, well, I don't want to say. They both have front cameras, and they both can shoot both video and still images with their front cameras as well as their rear cameras. So you can do video chat with either of these two phones. Now, video chat is a lot easier to do over here on the 4G LTE network, unless you're connected by Wi-Fi. Both will do Wi-Fi, and they'll both do video chat very well with the Wi-Fi. But if you need to use the network for Wi-Fi, the LTE is going to work a lot better over here. Now, they both have 16 gigabytes of onboard storage. Both of them have expansion slots for memory, so you can expand the memory with micro SD cards. So that's a draw that round. The Droid 3 has got a 1,540 milliamp hour battery. The Droid 4 has got a 1,785 milliamp hour battery. However, the Droid 4 has got LTE, and LTE will tend to wear down the battery a little bit faster. So you got a bigger battery, but a higher draw. I'm going to call that one, for lack of a better word, another draw. I've talked about the fact that this is a global phone. You can roam globally on GSM networks. You can't roam globally on GSM networks with the Droid 4, but I have heard that Verizon and its various manufacturers, such as Motorola, are going to be doing an upgrade sometime in the future. Now, this may be a rumor, but they're talking about doing an upgrade that will make the LTE much more compatible with GSM. So there may be the possibility of GSM roaming in the future. However, as it comes out of the box, GSM roaming is not a possibility. Both of these phones can be used as a mobile hotspot. So if you have that feature activated, and that may be an extra cost feature, you can use it as a mobile hotspot. But down here, you would be receiving on a 3G network and then distributing that signal on your Wi-Fi hotspot. Over here, you're receiving on a 4G network and distributing on a Wi-Fi hotspot. So here you've got maybe 2 or 3 megabits download speed tops that you're distributing to 2 or 3 devices. Over here, you've got 10 or 15 or 20 megabits download speed that you're distributing to 2 or 3 devices. So a much more pleasant Wi-Fi hotspot experience over here with the Droid 4. And the final thing that I want to talk about in terms of specs and features and so forth is that the Motorola Droid 4 actually weighs a little bit less, just a smidgen less. This weighs about 6.5 ounces. This weighs about 6.6 ounces over here on the Droid 3. To put that in metric terms, this is 179 grams. This is 184 grams. So just a little bit, 5 more grams you got over here. So it's just a little bit heavier. These are both, by the way, keyboard phones. That is a large factor in why they are both heavy phones, because they both have slide-out keyboards. They both have very nice 5-row keyboards. The keyboards are both exactly the same size. I don't know if you can tell, but they're the same height, and they're also, when you put them this way, they're also the same width. So now I wish that the Droid 4, to distinguish itself, had put the Android control buttons over here. Now, the Samsung Epic 4G and the Samsung Stratosphere, the Epic 4G is on Sprint and the Stratosphere is on Verizon, they have these 4 Android buttons. They duplicate them down here, which makes it very nice for a control feature. So I wish that they had done that over here on the Droid 4, because there is plenty of room on the keyboard. Now, there's plenty of room on the right side of the keyboard over here, but on the left, you don't have the space to have those Android buttons. And the reason why is because you have this little chin here going on with the Droid 3. The Droid 4 does not have that chin. So this is the Droid 4 on top, and this is the Droid 3 on the bottom. Now, while I got the phones like this, let's go ahead and take a look at the thicknesses. It looks to me like the Droid 4, which is right here in my left hand, unfortunately, I got them reversed, is a little bit thicker than the Droid 3, but I don't know, maybe that's an optical illusion. Can't tell for sure about that. Okay, let's talk a little bit more. I did some benchmark testing with these. You see I've both got I've got Antutu benchmark on both of these. Let's go ahead and touch those. I'm not going to run the benchmark, but I am going to show the scores over here on the Droid 3. I got a score of 5,360 on the Antutu benchmark. On the Droid 4, I got a score of 6,200. That's in keeping with the faster processor speed over here. Remember, it's a 1.2 gigahertz dual-core processor versus a 1 gigahertz dual-core processor, as well as the RAM. This has 1 gigabyte of processor RAM. This has 768. So it looks like the benchmark test is documenting the fact that this has got faster internals than we have over here. So I think I have enough going on here for this Wirefly cell phone Schmackdown. The Droid 3 is a good phone, beautiful display. It's got the 540 by 960. They call that a QHD display for 1/4 of a high definition image. And the same display is over here. These are both LCD screens. They're both sharp and clear. They both do playbacks of videos very well. They're both very good for audio players as well. I mentioned, or I didn't mention, but when we were looking around the phones, notice it's got both a USB and a micro HDMI port here on the Droid 3, as well as the Droid 4, which also has the USB and the micro HDMI ports as well. So they both have very good capability in that regard. I like devices that have more inputs and outputs on them than those that have fewer. So those are good things. But overall, the Droid 4 has got 4G, it's got faster download speeds, it's going to be a more pleasant experience working with something like YouTube or downloading a Netflix video, watching a Netflix video. That's going to work a lot better over here on the LTE network than it is on the slower 3G CDMA network on the Droid 3. I like the more Droid family-like appearance now that you have with the Droid 3. This more closely resembles the overall kind of footprint that the Droid Razr has. I kind of like that look. This is looking a little dated to me over here on the Droid 3, but everybody's got a different sense of visuals, so you can certainly have your own idea in that regard. Both of these phones, by the way, have very good call sound. The phone sound that you get with these is quite good. Motorola has a very long communications history and spends a lot of time building in very clear sound quality with their phones on these two phones. So both very good in that regard. Overall, however, this Wirefly cell phone Schmackdown is going to go to the Droid 4 because of its faster processor, more processor RAM, and of course its 4G capability. And by the way, if you want to buy either of these two phones, we will have the Droid 3 for quite some time yet on Wirefly. We will have great prices on both the Droid 3 and the Droid 4. We are your cell phone superstore at your door. So give us a try next time you need to buy a cell phone, or maybe we're coming up on Valentine's Day. You might want to buy one for your sweetheart. So anyway, this is Bob Kovacs here at Wirefly at the end of another Wirefly cell phone Schmackdown. Thanks for watching.